It's the Daily Doug.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug. Thanks for being with me today. My friends, I come to you with a heavy heart on today's episode. You know, we do these occasionally as our musical heroes pass away. And this week, a giant of the musical community has passed. Bob Weir, longtime member and co-founder of the Grateful Dead, passed away. He was 78. And I have felt a lot personally of just, it's another one of these situations where I'm just really getting into their music. I haven't heard a bunch of their stuff here on the channel, but I've heard enough that I really enjoy their vibe. I've really enjoyed grooving to their music, and I want to hear more, and I want to develop that sort of relationship. And yet, their work is largely done, and they are aging out, and so it's difficult, sometimes. And I've had many fans of the Grateful Dead reaching out to me over the last few days with their suggestions, their heartfelt suggestions for how best to pay tribute to Bob and his life and his music, and how best to celebrate and be a community together and lift each other up and lift up some music that Bob has brought us over the years. So today I've got two selections that we are going to be listening to, and I'm thankful that you are here and along for the ride. Let me go through some of the accolades. He's a founding member of the Grateful Dead. He played guitar and he sang on many of the band's songs, wrote many songs. He was a solo artist. He played with many other bands throughout his life, but his affiliation with the Grateful Dead and with Dead and Company are the primary drivers of his legacy. He is a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He is a Kennedy Center honoree. Just an all-around great guy from everything that I have seen about him. So, yeah, his music has really touched so many people over the last 50 or 60 years. And it was a little difficult, a little overwhelming with so many of these suggestions. I could have done a live stream and just hung out for a couple of hours and listened to some Grateful Dead music with y'all, and I would have enjoyed that, but I don't quite have the time for it today. So I have focused in on two specific songs that I want to hear with all of you. The first one is called Truckin', and this is from their 1970 album American Beauty, which I had the pleasure of reviewing and hearing for the first time over on my Patreon last summer. This particular song concludes the album, and Bob co-wrote this one with Jerry Garcia, with Phil Lesh, and with lyricist Robert Hunter, and Bob sings the lead on this one. And this is the famous song, this is really the reason why I thought, yeah, I have to include this one. This is the song with the famous line towards the end of it that says, "What a long, strange trip it's been." Indeed, what a long, strange trip that it has been. So I am going to be sharing my reaction to Truckin' that I have previously recorded and released for my Patreon, but it's the first time that I've released it here on YouTube. I'll be back when we finish with this one, and we're going to listen to Cassidy in a few minutes. So until then, y'all, I hope that you enjoy my reaction to Truckin' by the Grateful Dead. Okay, friends, one more, and it is Truckin'. So get your truckin' hats on. Okay. Take my own advice. All right. Just happen to have my my hat nearby. Can make this work, right? All right. I did my hair. Oh well. Anyway. Truckin'. This one is written by a quartet of folks, Jerry, Phil, Bob, and Robert, and Bob takes the lead vocal on this one. Howard Wells guests once again on organ for this one, and the band seems to be using some of their touring exploits and stories as fodder for this song. Bob said this about Truckin', quote, "There was a romance about being a young man on the road in America, and you had to do it. It was a rite of passage. And at the same time, it was the material that you drew from to write about. We were starting to become real guys and really enjoying the hell out of it. We toured more or less 6 to 8 months out of each year. It was our bread and butter. We weren't selling that many records. And we had a lot of fun out on the road, got into a lot of trouble. We left some smoking craters in some Holiday Inns, I'll say that. And there weren't a lot of places that wouldn't have it. And there were a lot of places that would not have us back. All of this is absolutely autobiographical. All of the stuff in Truckin'. Okay, so they're writing what they know. They're writing about their own experiences, and they're using it to make a point in this particular tune. So let's finish this album out with Truckin' from the Grateful Dead. Here we go. I think I've heard this one, but it's been a long time. Truckin', yeah, that sounds familiar.
Chips cashed in, keep trucking like the Doodah Man together, more or less in line. Just keep trucking on.
We're in E, think.
Arrows of neon and flashing marquees out on Main Street.
Cool.
Chicago, New York, Detroit, and it's all on the same street. A typical city involved in a typical daydream. Hang it up and see what tomorrow brings.
All that's on a single chord.
Dallas got a soft machine. Houston, too close to New Orleans. New York got the ways and means and just won't let you be.
Most of the cats that you meet on the street speak of true love.
Nice.
Most of the time they're sitting and crying at home. One of these days they know they gotta get going. Out of the door and down to the street all alone.
Trucking like the Doodah Man once told me, you got to play your hand. Sometimes the cards ain't worth a dime if you don't lay them down.
And again, is it rock and roll? Is it country?
Sometimes the lights all shine.
Is it folk? It's kind of yes to all, you know?
Lately it occurs to me.
Hello.
What a
long, strange trip it's been.
What in the world ever became of Sweet Jane? She lost her sparkle, you know she isn't the same. Living on Reds, vitamin C and cocaine. All a friend can say is ain't it a shame?
Trucking up to Buffalo, been thinking, you got to mellow slow. It takes time to pick a place to go, and just keep trucking on.
Having the greatest time, y'all.
Sitting and staring out of the hotel window. Got a tip, they're gonna kick the door in again. I'd like to get some sleep before I travel, but if you got a warrant, I guess you're gonna come in.
Busted down on Bourbon
They got
Street.
busted on Bourbon
Set
Street.
up like a bowling pin.
Bourbon Street is a place that tends to have people behaving poorly, right? Sorry, guys.
You're sick of hanging around, you like to travel.
And we got to the very end of the entire album before we heard any sort of rhythm like this vocally.
Get out of the door, light out and look all around. Sometimes the light's all shining on me. Other times I can barely see.
So that's at the level of the 4 that goes to
me. What a long, strange trip it's been. Truckin, I'm going home.
Finally, he's going home. Back where he belongs.
Back home, sit down and patch my bones and get back truckin'. Come on, come on.
So the bass is just doing arpeggios of the chords, just doing one of those walking basses like that. Not walking in the scale, but just arpeggiating. And that's how it's going to finish up. It's such an enjoyable listen, y'all. You know, y'all, I don't think that it made it into the highlight reel from last year, but this EPL was one of the highlights for me. It was such a lovely listen, the entire thing. I love folk music. I love folk rock. I love singer-songwriter style music, and this really fits in with that. And it even, you know, opens it up to jam bands a little bit as well. And I really, really appreciate the groove and the vibe of this band. And so it was my pleasure to share Truckin' and my reaction to hearing it for the first time, y'all. So another one that I wanted to include before we finish today is a song called Cassidy. And this is a song that was co-written by Bob and John Barlow. And it was originally released on an album called Ace, which is a solo album that Bob released in May of 1972. So right, you know, in the prime of his career, he does this solo album, and he includes this song on it. It also appears on the Grateful Dead live album called Reckoning, which was released in 1981. So what we're going to see today is a live version. I wanted to make sure that I got to see them playing, especially Bob, right? And back in their heyday. So this is from the band playing on Halloween night, October 31st, 1980, at Radio City Music Hall in New York City. And this was right about the time where they were pulling live performances for this double live album, Reckoning. I'm not sure if this is the actual recording that's on Reckoning, but I saw that the Grateful Dead is playing at Radio City, and they're doing this song that all of y'all suggested. So that's the one that I'm going to go with. So in an essay called Cassidy's Tale, John Barlow, the co-author, said, "This is a song about necessary dualities, about dying and being born, about men and women, about speaking and being silent, about devastation and growth, about desolation and hope." Dichotomies, dualities. And I read that Bob himself said that if there was any song that he really, really wanted to be played at his funeral, it's this one. So let's listen to it, friends. This is going to be the Grateful Dead doing Cassidy live in 1980. Here we go. There he is. Okay. We got to smoke one for Bob, y'all. There's Jerry in the foreground.
I have seen where the wolf is set by the silver stream. I can tell by the mark he left you were in his dream.
I'm not sure who the high voice is in the back.
Ah, child of countless trees.
Turns minor.
Ah, child of boundless sea.
Is it in major or minor?
What you are and what you're meant to be.
I guess they don't care. Major, minor, we don't
You were
care.
born to me.
Speaks his name that you were born to be. Born to be Cassidy.
Lost now on the country miles in the satellite.
So 1 to 4.
I can
That's
tell
E
by the way
major.
you smile when you're rolling back.
2 to 4, 1 to 1.
Come washing that done clean.
Then it turns to minor.
Come go the scorched ground green. Blow the horn, tap the tambourine. Close the gap of the dark in between. You and me, Cassidy.
You and me, Cassidy.
Quick beating and icy heart. A catch cold draws across the guard. There it goes, now here she starts her cry.
Hear her cry.
Flying the seabird, scattered like lost words.
Boom. That sounds like 5. 1. And they get back to major. Such a great vibe. Love the hand drums in there too. Well mic'd, well in the mix. Goes like 2 to 4 to 1.
Fare thee well now, let your life proceed by its own design.
Fare thee well now, let your life proceed by its own design.
Let the words be yours, I am done with mine. Fare thee well now, let your life proceed by its own design.
That's a lovely verse. That's the guy who's singing background, the keyboard
Let the
player.
words be yours, I am done.
Nothing to tell now, let your words be yours, I'm done with mine. Indeed you are, man. But they will live on. It's an exotic sound. Really based on what the bass is doing and the keyboards and how they're coloring. What our two main guys on the acoustic guitars are doing. They just allow you to spend time with them, just to abide, right? And it's always a safe place to do it. You always leave happier than when you came. What more could you ask for? What the keyboard's doing. So it's like
Shining like lost words.
awesome.
Wheel through the storm and fire.
Or is it even in that key? It's Rado's soul. They're in Mixolydian too, sometimes. What a treat to get to see Bob and Jerry side by side doing their thing. You know? I hope they're somewhere together again making music, you know what I mean? So, Cassidy, the name Cassidy alludes to Bob's friend when he wrote this, Eileen, whose newborn daughter was named Cassidy, inspired by the film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, right? And it's also a reference to Neil Cassidy, whose last name is spelled differently. It's spelled with an A, who was a major figure of the Beat generation in the 50s, the counterculture movement of the 60s, and he was friends of the band until his passing in 1968. So they're drawing on their friendship with Neil, and they're paying tribute to newborn Cassidy. And you know, if it's a song about dying and being born, at the time that that Bob was writing this song, there's a new life coming up, right? And just recently, his friend, also with the name Cassidy, is passing before his time, you know, early age, as I recall. And you get this lovely tune. And you also get the dichotomy in there of it being in E major, and sometimes it's in E minor, and sometimes we're using the leading tone, and sometimes we're using the subtonic. It's just a dichotomy, y'all. It's a yin and yang, kind of everything in moderation sort of thing. And we get a wonderful groove out of it. Lovely. So I want to conclude with a quote that I found yesterday. John Mayer, who had become really good friends with Bob, who had joined Bob's Dead and Company in 2015, and who has performed alongside Bob many, many times, posted a tribute on his social media saying, "Okay, Bob, I'll do it your way, fucking A. Thanks for letting me ride alongside you. It sure was a pleasure. If you say it's not the end, then I'll believe you. I'll meet you in the music. Come find me anytime." We'll meet him in the music. Yeah, we'll meet him in the music. It's emotional to lose these voices, these people who have been with us for so long, whose music has served as a companion, a friend, someone who's with us when we are celebrating, and somebody who's with us when we're mourning, somebody who helps us pass the time, somebody who just helps us get to the next day, you know. And when they have their time come, it reminds us of our own mortality, and we I think just go back and try to remember, and remember why it was important, why the music, why, in this case, why Bob's work is important and continues to be important. I think it's self-explanatory, y'all, but it's important to spend the time to actively and intentionally dwell in this space. That's why funerals are important. That's why memorials are important. They're not for the ones that have passed. They're for the ones that are still here. And so in offering this with y'all today, that's a little bit of my contribution to all of this, just to say thank you to Bob. Thank you to the members of Grateful Dead whose music will live on and continues to live on and inspire us and allow us to groove a little bit, allow us to imbibe a little bit, and just abide a little bit, right? Indeed, what a long, strange trip it was, but I am thankful for Bob and for his life and for his music, and I am thankful for y'all for hanging out with me today as we celebrate the life and music of Bob Weir. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you next time on another edition of The Daily Doug.